Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In this episode here, I'm going to talk about some things that I think I mentioned from last time. Um, One was Bitcoin loans. Um, Not really loaning, like you loaning your Bitcoins out. It's more about giving away your Bitcoins for other people to try out. Another thing I want to talk about was let me see here. Um, a little thing about Silk Road, um, and this whole criminal element of Bitcoin and everything, and just just how I feel about it, and where it might go in the future. And also that kind of leads to another segment of Bitcoin, which I guess people don't talk about or do talk about. I'm not sure, but some of you may know that you can there's gambling sites for Bitcoin, and I'll get into all that as well. I think this is something that we should all know before we get into Bitcoin. I wouldn't say the dark side of Bitcoin. I would just say the dark side uh, of you know exchange exchanging things for Bitcoin or exchanging things for one value for another. So whether people are in a criminal enterprise for U.S. dollars or for Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. It just in the end they're doing it for some kind of exchange of value, exchange of a medium. So, um, and something on a side note too, you know, um, which I'll get into when I get into Silk Road and gambling eventually. That is it real, or is all this just a video game? And then some other thing that came up. Sorry, my daughter is really interested in what I have to say to all of you guys. So, um, another interesting thing came up was gold versus Bitcoin. Um, I'll get into that as well. So, um, anyways, well, well, I might have to cut out here. But let me get into some of those things. So, first thing I want to talk about was Bitcoin as a loan. Not really loan. Of course, if you see my episodes, you know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to actually supply the market with Bitcoins. Um, and the reason I'm doing that is because the more and more Bitcoins are out in the market being used and transacted on, which would be good for the miners. They probably want to see a lot more Bitcoins out there being processed for them to, well, I don't know, process. Then again, it's only a certain amount at a time, but, um, excuse me, my daughter's just kicking the tripod. Um, in the end, eventually there'll be no more Bitcoins, and all the miners will be just basically receiving fees from the transaction. And so, there's still a use for the miners, and they'll still be making money. But it's quite an investment to set up mining rigs. But if you're if you're into U.S. dollars and that's what you want to make, that's probably where you want to go. You want to go into the mining rig business, and some of this concept is very natural for people in the oil and gas business. You know, uh, so this is something that's kind of a concept that a lot of uh, I guess people who wants to not invest in Bitcoin but invest in mining rigs and into the infrastructure, that may be something that you know um, a group of investors might want to look into. Um, so, being a miner, you need to realize U.S. dollars. So, anyways, let me talk about Bitcoin loans, or not what I call them loans, but a way to make it another way to make it a fun way to distribute Bitcoins. Okay, and what I'm gonna start doing, since I'm doing all this trading here, and I'm gaining in Bitcoins here. That's my ultimate goal, not to gain U.S. dollars, but to gain Bitcoins. And so one of the things I'm going to start doing is, I know a lot of people and friends that I trust. Some people that I trust, I know. If, like I said, if I'm not doing real world trades out in Main Street and Wall Street kind of scenario, um, I'm trading on the exchanges. And another thing want want to do, and a good way to introduce Bitcoin to the general public who have no experience with it, and you hear the risk, you hear governments warning, at your own risk. Well, this may be a good way to ease someone into the Bitcoin trade is by anybody who has a Bitcoin, give somebody a Bitcoin, give someone like I don't know, 50, $100 worth of Bitcoin, and let them experiment with it. For me, that wouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't mind giving $100 to people I know. And the reason why I would call it a loan, although Bitcoin's not kind of like a loan thing, but apparently I've been reading a lot of recent news articles where um, I think a lot of people are trying to make Bitcoin, you know, the 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 main form of exchange because it's so versatile. Um, they're talking about mortgages in Bitcoin, loans in Bitcoin, where where it could be paid through online, just like a regular concept of what's being done now, except you're using um, whatever protocol to arrange payments over time. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting as I was also brainstorming last night. But my loans are kind of different. They're more like you just give your bitcoins away and you agree if any money's made, like you give them $100 worth or X amount of bitcoins, and basically, at some point, your friends, whether they use, I mean, at this point, you're just giving it away. You're just letting people try it, try to understand it, and it's at no risk to them. Whatever amount, it could be $10, $20, whatever. And if they want to go to the exchange and trade it, they can do that. If they want to trade it in real life, peer to peer, person to person, they can do that as well. If they want to buy a gift card, if they want to, buy from Overstock.com, or probably the many other online retailers that are, it seems like they're starting to accept Bitcoin. Um, so when I say loan, I don't really mean loan. I just mean giveaway. And I think it'd be a great way to introduce Bitcoin to the general market. Um, Anybody who has Bitcoin, early adopters, anybody who's trading, I mean, giving out $100 worth of Bitcoin, if you know what I'm talking about, like if you trade like I trade, and you know how Bitcoin works and how um, what it means. Like I said, Bitcoin will go to infinity if I live that long enough. I mean, of course, infinity means forever, so I probably will never see it go to infinity because I'll be dead by then. But my point is, it kind of goes in that direction as long as um, governments around the world, excuse me, governments around the world just continue to print money, in which, you know, which they have to print money. It's, you know, at some point I guess they'll stop, when they realize there's enough money out there from the amount of money that's in Bitcoin, and I think what's going to eventually happen, like in a long time. Okay, this is probably after the 20, what is it, 2042 or whenever, what is it, 2114 or something, or whenever Bitcoin stops, um, when there's no more Bitcoins to be mined, it get to the point where um, there's people who there's debtors, debt, and then there's the creditors, credit, and eventually, money printing, I'm hoping, will eventually be stopped. And what's going to happen is the way money's created now, it just has to be reissued back into debt. So Bitcoin is credit, we're the holders of the credit, and when we want to increase the money supply, we sell off our credit or exchange our credit to debt to the people who want to be in debt. And so long term, that's what I see. Like this is like way like probably I'll be dead by then. I mean, I'm not going to live 100 years old to that point. But I'm envisioning a future where um, I don't know if money will ever be printed again. And if it is, it'll be, people realize it's a form of debt, and what they're getting themselves into is debt. So Bitcoin owners will become the creditors. And if we want to increase the money supply, we just exchange our credit for debt. So I think that's in the future, way in the future. And then, who knows? I'll probably be, like I said, I'll be dead, and you'll probably be dead too. But there, you'll be up to the future generation to decide what they want to do with their bitcoins or their money or their U.S. dollars, whatever. So let me see. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so the concept of giving away your bitcoins to people people you trust, and you're just giving away. But you can also say, hey, if you plan on trading it or trying to make money with it, the only thing you would ask them is that you come back to you when they want to cash out, because eventually they probably want to, or they may never cash out. But maybe you can just kind of mention that if they make money on it, give me back my Bitcoin. Give me back my $100 of Bitcoin, or my X amount of Bitcoin. I'd rather take the Bitcoin than cash value, because I know it's going to go up in value, and then they're just going to give me a smaller piece of that Bitcoin to pay me back in US dollars. So I would say, pay me back in Bitcoins. So if I gave you zero point 0.01 Bitcoin and 4 months later you came back to me and said, wow, this is amazing. I actually made a whole Bitcoin, and maybe by then a whole Bitcoin would be like $2,000-$3,000 or whatever. Maybe it'll be like $60. I don't know. But the point is that they would be able to pay me back in the same amount of Bitcoin. Like if I gave them a 0.01 Bitcoin, and they've done well in trading or real life trading, or which leads to my other thing. Some people will gamble Bitcoin. Okay, that's some people gamble money, U.S. dollars. It's if it exists now, it'll exist with Bitcoin. Okay, so which brings me to Silk Road and a lot of the negative connotations with Bitcoin and Silk Road. My personal feelings is, if it exists in the real world right now with U.S. dollars, it will also exist in Bitcoin, as far as Bitcoin goes. Now, I personally think that the medium of exchange, with any criminal activity, I mean, Bitcoin is really great. I mean, you kind of send it, you receive it, but to me, it seems almost redundant, because the whole point is, making money. They're only doing this not because, well, I don't know, maybe some people want to distribute, arms around the world and create chaos, or maybe there's some people out there who want to get the whole world high on whatever supply they're supplying. But in my opinion, they're really doing it for the money. They're trying to make money, right? And if you see my episode series, you understand that moving a physical product, commodity, which you can kind of, if you boil it down, drugs can be a commodity. Its value comes from its let me see, scarcity or hard to deliver resource, because because it's banned around the world for the most part, and for reasons, right? But whatever those reasons are. Anyways, my point is, I see it being redundant, because what they're doing is they're taking, there's cash, there's Bitcoin, and then there's this middle ground here in which they bounce the cash and Bitcoin through using this medium of a product, usually whatever drugs, guns, or some illegal service. They're bouncing this back, and in the end, what they're really after is, they're really after the money or the Bitcoin, whatever. I don't know what they're after, but probably if you're a criminal, you're really after the money. So instead of bouncing around, money, Bitcoin, and then this product in the middle as the exchange of from money to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to money, and all that, forget the drugs, forget the guns. Just remove this out of the way, and then you have money in Bitcoin, and then from there you just bounce it off each other, and that's how you're making money. Um, so that's kind of why I'm really into Bitcoins, because before then I used to move product, not drugs, but recyclable commodities. And there's some hurdles with moving physical product, and that is, there's a cost. There's a cost and there's risk that you have to add to the cost for the risk, just in case things don't go through. Like, for example, um, I will send a load of whatever, cardboard, aluminum, and plastic. I mean, plastic recycling is the most notorious of all recycling. I would compare like plastic recycling to Silk Road. Anything goes. You may not get paid. I've heard stories where someone would buy $1 million worth of steel, and when the container came in, it's nothing but painted bricks, painted silver. You know, there's a lot of scams in things like that already exist. I mean, people will think they're pretty tricky with Bitcoin and their scam, but um, all these scams already exist with U.S. dollars. So try to keep that in mind, right? Um, anyways, and that brings up the other question. Um, of course, when you're involved in Bitcoin trading, Silk Road will always seem to come up. And my personal opinion on Silk Road is, when I look at, you know the pictures of the perpetrators of Silk Road, um, it's kind of weird to see someone that could be your neighbor. Uh, I mean, literally, that someone could literally this. Some of the pictures I've seen. I mean, the the what is it, Robert Ulrich or something, whatever his name. Let me see if I could do a quick search on him real quick. Okay, there it is. And you can't avoid this subject when you're dealing with Bitcoin without without talking about it, or coming up with it. I mean, if you look at these pictures, I'm sorry, let's see if it zooms there. If you look at these pictures, I mean, I don't I don't see a street thug. I don't see someone who's hurting for money and is forced to uh, you know go underground in illegal activity so they can pay their rent or have food or whatever, just survive. I mean, I don't see that. I What I see is, well, just I s- I see someone who wants to be something, and you know, well, they're somebody now. All right, they want to be somebody that, well, this person's somebody now. We all know who this person is, and I think of it as a joke. Um, you know, this person's almost the same age as me. Obviously, you know, coming from different backgrounds, but I think, if they saw what the darker side of what they're doing, instead of, it's not like these people. I don't see any evidence that they live a very dangerous and criminal life. They probably live a very happy life, a rich life. They do everything online, so they never encounter any of the dangers and risks, like you would see, and this time when I say on the streets, I'm really talking about the street. I'm talking about, I know, you standing in the corner somewhere, literally standing in the corner somewhere, nodding your head at every car that comes by. Whichever whether you're a hoe, or you're a drug pusher, or some kind of, street hustler. I mean, these doing that kind of stuff on the real streets is very dangerous. All right. People don't pop up dead for no reason in a trash can. All right. So this is dangerous stuff. And when I look at this, and the way they're doing it, using Bitcoin, being anonymous, never doing this in face in real person. Um, I I don't think these people see the darker side of living a life of crime. All right, um, and being in the streets, like the people who really are street thugs. I'm not gonna see this guy in a corner somewhere trying to sell, you know, sorry, selling, these drugs over here. I'm not going to see this guy on the street corner selling these drugs because he would probably get robbed, shot, killed, arrested. That's if he was on the streets. But obviously he got caught. But that's just my opinion. I mean, for me, when I see these Silk Road people, I I think it's a video game to them. I'm sorry, my baby's kind of getting grouchy. I might have to cut in and cut out. Let me cut out here and I'll cut back in. I'll be right back. All right. Thanks for staying tuned here. Yeah, cutting back in here, and so, anyways, yeah, I think for the most part this is just a nice little fun game for these guys. And here's the thing, if I wanted drugs, um, you can get them right now. You don't need Silk Road to get drugs. I think that's just a hassle. Um, and the thing, in my opinion, in America and in any major metropolitan area, there is a whole world, a whole underworld, all right? And not because it's really evil, the word underworld, it's just because people are forced into the shadows, underground, because you know uh, you know there's laws against this kind of stuff. So anyways, my point is, I think I look at this, and then when I go into Houston, I see something totally different. I don't see this at all. Um, in the darker side of town, the place where um, nobody wants to be there at night. And there's places like that in every metropolitan city. All right, and basically there's a whole another underworld there, and that's a real world underworld. This is just, in my opinion, for these people, a nice little game for them to play to entertain themselves. It seems that way. So, anyways, that's my opinion on that. And then I'm glad this could be just a little side note memory on Bitcoin, because, in my opinion, um, these people don't know anything about Bitcoin, how it works, and what Bitcoin is and how it works. They're just literally using it as an anonymous form of exchange for illegal activity. I mean, that's all it is for these guys. They have no concept of what I mentioned in the previous episodes of Bitcoin, because if they knew what Bitcoin really was and how it worked, like I said, it's the price and value of Bitcoin would go to infinity. They wouldn't bother with drugs. They would realize, money, Bitcoin, drugs. This thing is just getting in the way of making more money. Get rid of the drugs and whatever, and just go straight to money and Bitcoin, and you'll be just making money. You know, uh, so that's why I think this whole Silk Road thing is really stupid. People who scam are really stupid. People who understand what Bitcoin is and how that generates into wealth for you. Um, these people know what Bitcoin is and what it does, and they will buy Bitcoin. They will gladly exchange their debt for credit once they understand this concept. So, anyways, I would have to say goodbye to Silk Road, but I'm not going to say goodbye to illegal drug activity, because that's just going to exist with or without Silk Road. I think these people got caught. Remember, in my previous episode where I talked about scammers, every crime that you commit always leaves a trail back to you. In this particular case, I don't know if you know the full story, but basically, let me see if they got a picture of it in here. And they got a lot of like look at this. Does this guy look like he's you know, suffering in any way where he's forced to go underground as a means of income? So that's another thing. You know, although people who are going to jail, right, actually going to jail for committing crimes are usually drug related. You know, they're not doing it because they want to be famous or they have some political or some ideology or whatever they don't have a belief in what they're doing is right. They're doing it because they need to survive. They need to make money, pay the bills, um, put food on the plate. Does this guy look like he needs to put food on the plate? No. So anyways, I'm looking for, oh, there it is. Okay. I'm gonna zoom in here. But I've been following this story ever since I heard of Bitcoin and then I heard of Silk Road. But if you know the story is that basically this person here, and I know he has a nice little Texas driver's license, but this is how you got caught. When you commit crimes in the physical world versus in the cyberspace, the physical world leaves a trail, you dumbasses. I don't know. Anyways, so bringing your digital crime into real world crimes leaves physical trails that lead back to you. See what I'm talking about? Um, you know, and so these guys aren't mastermind criminals. These guys are not even career criminals, okay? They have no idea what they're doing as far as crime, and they also have no idea what they're doing as far as Bitcoin. So I would say, go away. If you're gonna do this, um, I believe there is an unwritten agreement. Like everybody knows, but nobody does anything about it. That crime is being committed. That drugs are being sold out in the streets of America. But there's kind of like an unwritten, agreement, a social agreement that okay, as long as all this is done outside the view of the public, okay. That's why when you buy drugs, it's always on in the well, I wouldn't say always, but to, you know, uh, sometimes a lot of these things happen in places that aren't considered a great part of town. The police don't go there for a reason because it's dangerous. Okay, so there's some real world activity with this, and I think these people have no idea, what the fuck they're doing. So they're gonna get caught, and I hope they do because, uh, you know, things like this, you have a choice in what you want to do with Bitcoin, and unfortunately, he chose to commit crime. You know, so and there's a choice. You can do this, or you can actually just be legit and make money and live a great life, and not go to jail and get gang raped in prison. Although I doubt he'll really get gang raped. He's not going to go into the general population. He'll probably go somewhere nice. Um, you know. Anyways, that's kind of what I want to talk about right then and there, and that's the end of this. And then let me see. Let's go back to the chart here. Now, what the other thing I want to talk about was, which is kind of a stem off of Silk Road, which is gambling. There's a lot of gambling sites out there, and I love playing poker. I have not played poker with Bitcoins yet because I know I make more money trading Bitcoins. Okay, I I, I do like playing poker, and I do, I live in Houston. We'll go someplace to a friend's house or something and watch a football game, or we'll barbecue. We'll play typically after a football game, we'll play some poker, cash poker. This is, and I'm not risking my rent money or anything. So, but there is that option with Bitcoin, and I'll go over that as well. So let's see what some of the things that are out there as far as Bitcoin goes. And like I said, this is mainly for anyone who doesn't know what Bitcoin is. And if you want the whole story, let me see, Bitcoin. Let me see, gambling. There you go. Get Bitcoin gambling. And so let's see. Okay, I'll just pick whatever is up there. I mean, I'm not endorsing. Oh, that's not it. Let me see here. Okay, so let's look at some gambling directories with Bitcoin gambling. And this is one of them. And there's a lot of things out there. There's poker. There's live action sports. Like you can make bets on certain things as the sport's happenings. Like if someone's going to throw a touchdown, you can make a bet on that. There's some odds. I mean, there's a lot of things with this, and apparently it's all legit because you're just dealing in Bitcoins. And like I said, this is another way somebody can try to make money. Anybody who's a professional gambler, this is another way of, I guess, I mean, as long as you claim it. I mean, if your profession is gambling and that's how you make your living, and you claim your gains and you pay your taxes. I mean, there are people who are professional gamblers. That's how they make their living, and they claim their taxes that way. Look at everyone who won the World Series of Poker. I'm sure they had to pay some tax on it. So again, these are like the sites are in some international place where you as far as I know, legally right now, you can gamble your Bitcoins. So there's this side of Bitcoin. So just like the US dollar, my point is just like the US dollar, and even more so for the US dollar because that is by far the most popular currency of criminals and terrorists. And I mean, I think even when if I remember, when they captured Saddam Hussein, he had wads of 100. He had bricks of 100 US dollars. So, it just goes to show that US dollars, just like Bitcoin, can also be treated like a commodity. There's some value there. But if you know from my previous episodes, which one would I rather own, debt, credit? I'd rather own credit because that's going to be more valuable in the future. So, okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about was gold versus Bitcoin. Okay. I have no problem with gold. I don't own any other than jewelry. And the only thing I think I own in gold is just, I don't wear it, but my wedding ring. But that's how I feel about jewelry in general. I don't even wear jewelry. A matter of fact, do you see this lame watch? I can get myself a Rolex right now and wear it, but you know why I don't? Because I don't see any value in Rolex. Actually, this watch here has more value to me than any Rolex. And it's not because, I paid for it. Someone gave this to me. And the person who gave it to me, it meant something. And I wear this every day, and, I like it so much, I don't even take it off, even when I shower, because I have a tendency of losing my watches that way. But it just goes to show you that the value of something is not because of the price tag that's put on it. The value of something comes from your perception of what's valuable to you. And so gold, if you think gold is more valuable, then be in gold. I've had a brief chat with someone on YouTube, which I deleted the conversation. I don't want addresses or links to mining sites or other exchanges. If you're going to make a comment, just make a comment. If you have a question, ask the question, but please no links to external websites, unless asked for it. Okay. What do I think about gold and Bitcoin? I think they have similar properties as far as how it's, the value of gold being scarce, the amount of gold on Earth. Same concept, Bitcoin, limited supply. The major difference is, and I'm not bashing gold or I'm not in favor of gold, but I'm just stating the notable difference is I cannot take gold and electronically send it to someone halfway around the world. As a matter of fact, carrying gold on me is a big drag. Another thing is I'm going to have to use some kind of scale, I'm assuming, if I ever want to deal in gold. The drawbacks of gold for me is the physical, well, the laws of physics, all right, where basically, in the real world, uh, it takes energy to move shit, all right? Just to move shit takes energy. Um, Bitcoin takes energy, of course, electric energy, but I can send a Bitcoin or I can send a billion, a million, a trillion, whatever the value of Bitcoin goes up to. I could send all that with the push of a button around the world in a matter of, well, it takes a couple seconds to actually get there, then it takes a couple 15 to 20 minutes to be confirmed and all that shit. But basically, that's what I can do with Bitcoin that I cannot do with gold. I mean, it seems to have all the same properties. It's physical. Um, if if and I can understand why some people would own gold. They see some value in it, just in case the world goes to shit, and Bitcoin would be of no use. We have no electricity. We have no infrastructure. My point in that scenario is if the world has gone to shit and you have a lot of gold, you become a target for criminals, for thieves, for murderers. In this kind of scenario where law and order and you know civilizations, civilization as we know it starts to fall apart, which a lot of people who hold gold seem to believe in, and also really think that it will happen. America becoming a third world country, collapsing. Um, I'll tell you what's more valuable than gold in that situation. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, and you can have gold. I just think you're just going to become a target for murder because someone's going to take your gold. And in that case, you're going to have to give your gold away for protection. You're going to have to pay people to protect you with your gold. Um, so you can't give your gold fast enough. You can't give your gold away fast enough to save your life, in my opinion. Anyway, but when I talked to one particular person buying Bitcoin and selling their Bitcoins and buying gold, and you know that's great. Have fun carrying that around. I don't know if they actually own real gold or if they're talking about paper issued, gold. Uh, you know, you have an issue of claim that you have gold at some gold bullion or whatever. You have to realize that a lot of these paper issued gold stuff is just that paper issued. They probably have 1 bar of gold in that you know vault in which they issued millions and millions of gold paper worth of gold. So unless you actually have that physical gold, a physical silver, um, buying gold is on paper is useless. My opinion. Okay, just my opinion. All right. And let me see here. What else do I need to talk about? Okay. And so, oh yeah. So let's just say the world goes to shit. All right. U.S. collapses. Europe collapses. Asia starts to collapse. Whatever reason, everyone's imploding. There's some people who speculate in future events. Mostly just talk, not really betting on money or anything, but just speculating. Uh, if that ever happens, the most valuable thing that you will possess, all right, um, it's going to be either number one or number two spot, but definitely it's going to be up there very high. You're definitely going to need to defend yourself. Typically, a gun, a weapon. Typically, it would be a gun or a rifle because, you know, the further you can keep your enemies away from you, the less chance they have of actually harming you. So that's one, which I that's that's going to be very common. Matter of fact, I have a video on my on a gun that I own. I'll put a link up there. Not to show off my skills in shooting or anything, but I think everyone should own at least a gun to defend themselves, right? Not to commit acts of crime, but for self-defense. Um, but other than that, the other most valuable resource, okay, and this is something that no one can take away from you. You either have it or you don't, okay, and it goes wherever you go, and it probably will save your life in a collapse economy collapse scenario. But your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, your know-how, that will be ultimately the most valuable resource that you have. Is you. You will become the most valuable. Your ability to do things, accomplish things, what you know, to rebuild the infrastructure of society. That will be the most valuable thing that someone can truly possess. And that's something that no one can take away. No one can put a gun up to your head and take it away from you. You're either it's going to be lost forever, or you'll be allowed to live and continue, to improve whatever, um, whatever you're good at, you know. So that's what I think is more valuable. Fuck gold, because by then I need real food, and if food is in short supply, I don't care about gold. I need food, you know. And so, unfortunately, in a scenario like that, your gun may be the only thing that's gonna get you food. Okay, it's a scary scenario. I don't know why people talk about, they like to go back to the good old wild west. No electricity, no infrastructure. Fucking people just with guns going around shooting people. They're dreaming. If they want to go to a place like that, I would say go to other parts of the world where it really is like that, and have fun. And if you need if you need help, don't call us. you know? So that's what I have to say for those people. Anyways, this concludes this episode. Um, I hope this kind of helps out and informs anybody new to Bitcoin. For some of you who already know all this, this is not, you should, just another view, another opinion. Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episodes. And again, leave a comment, like, dislike, even leave a video response if you want. Till then, stay tuned. Bye.